we're going to talk about negotiations, huh? The reason why I'm late is because I just had one. I had a person come up to me and said, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here to take my test on Tuesday. That many days in advance. And she came to me and she said, I'm not going to be in town. I said, okay, how about Monday morning? No, I'm not going to be here. I have to go to a funeral. I might be out of town. And I said, okay, how about Wednesday morning? That works fine. I said, are you sure you're going to be able to study while you're gone? This is the conversation, right? You have to have a conversation in order for that to happen. You're going to take the test on Monday morning. That doesn't work, does it? Does it work for you? No. How can it work? She's not going to be here. So we have to have a two-way conversation to be able to figure out what is best for her. You've had me in class, right? You know that I am like this, right? I am straight and narrow. I expect you to take care of things before you go, not after. If this young lady would have come into me on Wednesday morning and said, oh, by the way, I wasn't here yesterday, I'd have been mad. Instead, she knows what to do in the class. She also happened to be one who 2 weeks ago didn't do what she was supposed to do. And I got really, really upset in class because she came up to me as I'm handing her the test and she said, oh, by the way, I wasn't here last Tuesday to get the information. Now we've got a discussion in front of the entire class on why you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You signed a syllabus that said that you will do what you're supposed to do, which means you're going to, the moment you come in from being absent, you will come to me and we'll figure it out. That's the whole purpose. And I've said this a number of times, I want you to be successful. If you're not going to be successful, then I haven't done my job. If, believe it or not, if one person in my class does not be successful, I am not happy. Because that means I didn't do well. And you may go, well, you know, you missed 1 out of 100. That's not bad. No, that's not good. Because that means that one person got slipped by and didn't learn what they needed to learn. And really, at 95%, 98%, that doesn't mean success. You could have a 75 or 80 in the class and it could be success. And that's a little bit, you guys kind of have lost that perspective just a little bit. Where getting a grade that you deserve is really, really important. If you're capable of getting 95s and 98s, that's great. When I used to go to parent-teacher conferences for my kids, I asked one question. Are they doing what they're capable of doing? And if their answer was, yes, they are, then I don't care what their grades were. It doesn't matter. It means they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I went back and I looked at and took in the definition of negotiation. It's a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. It's a discussion. Now, keep in mind again, what's a discussion? A discussion has to be both ways. It's not me coming up to you and going, you're going to take the test on that day. Does that work for you? Probably not. So you got to say. You got to say something. So we got to have a discussion. Are those discussions going to be always good? Discussions are always good. Whether or not they come out the way you want to or not, discussions are always good. Negotiation really doesn't start until somebody says no. Either I say no or you say no. It doesn't necessarily have to be the teacher. It could also be you going, I can't do that. Now we got a negotiation. Now we have to figure out what to do. If a person doesn't come to me, we can't get this discussion. We can't have that discussion. We can't have a negotiation. Why negotiate? What are reasons? What are good reasons for negotiations? One, is it possible that you were sick for 4 or 5 days? Is it possible you were sick for 2 days and it affected you? Sure it is. How about a sporting event? We got a test on Friday. No, got a volleyball game out of town on Friday. Got to go. Okay, well now we got to talk about it. I would always push to have you take something before, not after. That means if you have to go out of town for 3 days, 4 days, I'm going to push to have you take that test before. That means I don't want you to have to come back and take it afterwards. I want you to take it before. If that doesn't work for you, then we have to work that out. We have to sit down and we have to communicate with each other. I say this numerous times. I don't accept emails. I don't accept phone calls. I want you to come and talk to me. I want face-to-face discussion with me. That's the way it has to be. And believe it or not, that is something that is starting to be lacked in our society today. You guys get really accustomed to using those phones and those emails, and you won't come in and talk to anybody. How about last year I had a student come to me and said, I have 4 tests on one day. I heard we could work something out. And he did it all right. He came to me a good week in advance. He came to me with the right intentions of going, I'm going to have difficulty if I have to take 4 tests in one day. Can we figure out something to do? And he came to me at the right time and right place, and we worked out something. If he had waited until 2 days before the test or a day before, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna. You've known for a long time you're gonna have 4 tests in one day. You can't wait and wait and wait. How about a sickness or death in the family? Is that a possibility? Absolutely. We have it happening all the time, unfortunately. And sometimes you know when you're going to have to go, and then sometimes you don't know. If you don't know, you can't very well negotiate before you leave, is it? Is it possible? No. But is it possible that you're going to come to me the moment you get back into town? Absolutely. So if you know and you got something planned that you know you're going to have to leave, then things can be negotiated. Grant Eaton, he knew he had to leave. He came to me a good week in advance and said, I'm not going to be here the entire next week. What do I need to do? And we sat down and we figured out, okay, this is this, this, and this. I said, don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. Go do what you have to do. I want you to be successful. I think it's really important that you understand that most of the teachers here do want you to be successful. And in order for that to happen, this has to be a two-way street. Now, a lot of you in here have had me, and there's some of you who have not. You've had me, you've had me. Can I be unreasonable at times?
Yeah.
Good. I can be. I'm going to push you as hard as I can possibly push you. What's your job? Push back? Bark a little bit? Yeah. And I'm okay with that as long as we do it all in the right way. But my job is to push you. I want to get as much out of you as I possibly can. I want you, by the time you graduate, or at least leave my class, to know who you are. Because I guarantee you, when you start the class, you don't have a clue who you are. You don't know what kind of studier you are. You don't know what kind of learner you are. You don't know, some of you don't even know how to study. And by the time you get finished with the class, even though you may bitch about it at the time, that's okay. Because when you get done, you know exactly when you study, how long to study, all those things happen because you do what you're supposed to do. I can remember when my wife, when I first started, before I ever dated her, she was very good friends with my daughter. And she would call the house numerous times and my daughter was probably 12 or 13 at the time. I was divorced. I was a single parent. I raised my daughter and my son by myself. So she would call to take my daughter to McDonald's or to go shopping or wherever. If I answered the phone, she would hang up on me. She wouldn't even say a word. She'd hang up. You know, she didn't tell me this for a number of years later, but she told me, obviously after we got married, she goes, "Oh yeah, I used to hang up on you all the time." I go, "Why?" She goes, "Because you're mean." And I tried to explain to her, as I did this morning in the other class, that I really do have two voices. And sometimes I don't know which one to use. I have my teaching voice, which is a stern voice, which is a disciplined voice. I do this. And then I have my dad voice or my parenting voice or my loving my wife voice, and it's different. And sometimes when I pick up the phone, it was always the teacher picking it up. And it was stern, and it can come off as being mean. So she always messes with me all the time that she used to just hang up on me because she didn't want to talk to me. She only wanted to talk to Nikki, my daughter. So it truly, sometimes it's who you think I am. If you really think that I am that mean and I'm unapproachable, then we're never going to have a problem. We're not going to work out with each other. You're not going to be able to negotiate with me because it's never going to work. You've got to be able to know who I am. And I think was I better as the year went on? Did you learn to understand me as the year go on? You too?
Oh, yeah.
You learn as the year goes on who I really am. And I think you know that I care about who you are and what I want you to be able to accomplish. So how is the best way to approach me? And really, I probably, in most cases, you need to know this because you're going to need to go see your professors at some point in time. You can't be afraid to do that. They're normal people just like I am. And they're not unapproachable. But you have to learn how to do it in the right way and when to do it. I had somebody just a minute ago grab me in the hall and started trying to explain to me why they didn't do very well on a test. I'm going, now's not the time. I'm sympathetic as to why you didn't do well, but out in the hall, in the middle of it, that's not the time to do that. And he wasn't asking to negotiate. He was just trying to clarify why you didn't do well. He didn't know there was a test. How is that possible? Because they don't look at Power School. They don't listen. So you have to grab me by myself. Get me in the morning, get me at some time when I am totally by myself in my room and not in the hall, not in the main office. Because if you do that, now we're starting to negotiate something out in the middle of everyone. If you want other people to have a say-so in our negotiation, then that's fine. You're not going to win that one then. You're going to lose. You're more likely you're going to win most negotiations with me if I'm by myself. Have the truth ready. Don't lie. That is so key. I learned a long time ago, and I learned the hard way, especially with you guys, that you will lie until your back is so far up against this wall you can't go any further. It happened with my daughter. I came back from a Notre Dame trip to watch a football game, and I left my daughter at home. She was 18 years old. Came home. She had had a party. Nobody was at home. I got to school the next day. My boss, my principal, comes up to me and goes, your daughter had a party last Friday night. I'm going, no, she did not. I said, okay, sister, I'll go ask her. So I went and asked my daughter, did you have a party last Friday night? Absolutely not, Dad. Okay, lie number one. All right, and I would tell you right off the bat, as a parent, don't lie to me. You can do anything. It can be really, really bad, but don't lie to me. I will help you any way I can, but if you lie to me, you lost me. Now, you're going to get killed because I'm going to murder you. She lied to me for 3 days after I had been called in by my boss and the principal of the school numerous times. And she still lied. Until about day 3. After I had asked her probably a good 4 or 5 times, she'd been called into the office, boom, 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 boom. But Dad, we all agreed to lie. We all said we were going to lie together. So you were all going to go down. Well, you know what? I don't care about other people. You're going down. And it wasn't pretty for her at all. And it could have been so much better had she just told me the truth right up front. So when you're in negotiation, don't lie to whoever you're going to negotiate with. Tell them how bad it is. Be honest with them. I'm a lot more understanding than most people will give me credit for. I will go to bat for you. I will do anything I can for you, but you can't lie to me. That's the one thing that really is a no-no. You have to have an alternative plan because we're going to have a conversation. If you don't have some kind of if you don't have an alternative, I'm going to tell you what is, and that's not a conversation. So you have to have some input here. Do not wait until it's too late. Don't wait until I'm ready to pass out the test and you say, oh, by the way, I wasn't here last class. I can't take the test. That happened to me about 2 weeks ago. And I was not happy. And unfortunately, she did the wrong thing. She brought it up in class in front of everybody. So I blasted her in class in front of everybody. You know, again, you waited. That I should be able to walk into my classroom and go, I know you were not here last Friday night, or last Friday. You've already come and talked to me about missing on Friday. The negotiation has already been done way before, and you know that you're going to take it here. And I just walk right on by you. Now we take 5 minutes to argue about why did you not come in, because my rules are always, if you miss a day of school, that's fine. But you need to come in the next morning and make sure that you have all the paperwork that you need to take tests and quizzes. Not wait 3 more days before we have another class and go, oh, by the way, that doesn't work. In any business, it doesn't work. And it really is not going to work with professors in college because they don't care. Most of them don't care. You have teachers that are here at St. James that really, truly care who you are and want you to be successful. We're trying to prepare you to do the right thing. Ms. Rutger's doing that now by just having you listen to different people other than him tell you what negotiation is all about. Not having time to study is don't even begin to negotiate, because that ain't going to work. Because you didn't have time to study, that doesn't work for negotiation. That's not a good enough reason. You're still going to take the test. If you don't do well, you don't do well. Next time, maybe we need to talk well in advance of that as to how I can help you become a better student. You have to plan out your study strategy. How are you going to study? Do you know who you are? I will guarantee you, people who take the anatomy class, they truly know by the end of the year what kind of studiers are they. I told them I was terrible studier at nighttime. I learned I much better get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and study for 2 or 3 hours after I got a little bit of rest than trying to push myself until 1 o'clock in the morning. That's just me. You might be, I can sit down for 20 minutes, I need to get up and go walk around for a while. I didn't have a problem sitting down 2 or 3 hours, but it could be late at night. So you learn who you are and how you need to study. The one thing that I say that I still truly mean, and that is that when I leave here, and I'm leaving here in May, I hope that everybody who has had me will be able to say he was a fair teacher. That if you try to negotiate with me, I will negotiate with you. And I hope that I am, and I think I am most of the time, fair in working out negotiations.
Pardon the interruption. We're going to get started a tiny bit early here before Mr. Frank gets on. Just to go over intruder in the building, we will have a drill coming up here shortly. Just wanted to go over what we're supposed to do in the classroom. So if there was an intruder in the building, we are under the run, hide, and fight philosophy that Officer Peterson talked about last year. Your one job is to stay alive. Whatever it takes for that to happen, that's your job.